Hello everyone. How are you on Thursday? Thursday morning. Welcome, Siof. Welcome, Kent. Warudo. Hi. I'm Mifa. Hello. Kiki-san. Hello. And the rice farmer. First time chat. Ooh, welcome. Today we, as usually, we will read continuation of our book in Japanese. Let me just set it up a little bit. So this was our setup, but we also had a Jisho. Hello, Jisho. Yes, Jisho. Thank you, Jisho. I also wondered because I saw the other streamer the other day to put this in with a fancy filter. Let me quickly check it. I wanted to try it. How are you guys? How was your week? It's the last week of the year, right? Any New Year's resolutions? Any shogi expectation for yourself for the next year? Okay, that didn't work. This doesn't work as I as I wanted it to work. Okay. All right. That's sad. Okay. How about this? Nope. All right. We give up on this idea. Remove. Yes. Okay. We're gonna keep it the working way. What is my New Year's resolution though? I'm asking you guys about it, but I don't have anything prepared myself. My last year resolution, which was to clean more, is kinda applied, so it's not necessarily a failure. How about the next year? Should I get a resolution of I should write one shogi book next year or something like that? Well, I still have 1.5 days to think about it. Get good, yeah, that's a good one. Pretty nice week here for this year. Wife having a baby, so pretty challenging. Aww. Good luck for you. And I mean, enjoy it, right? It's a challenge, but you should enjoy it every step of it. My New Year's resolution, says the rice farmer, is to spend less time online. But now the question is, brain works badly if you forbid it something. The question is what you're gonna do instead. Like if you motivate your brain to, I plan to read more books, or I plan to start running, maybe that would be easier. Do you have any plan for that? Yeah, congrats to Kiki-san. Definitely. CEO Ketan says, by the way, I still remember relativity theory. Let me get some water. Relativity theory and efficiency theory, but forgot what's durability theory. Well, we're gonna remind ourselves today. Read more physical books. Oh, nice. Yeah, physical books. I actually finished reading the first book of the Storm Archive, a very famous book from Brandon Sanderson. Not regretting any second, so definitely recommending that. I picked up a little bit of drawing yesterday again. I'm gonna see. Anyway, today is Shogi book. I can think of a resolution later and announce it on Discord. No, you guys can check me. It did Karolina do the resolution. No, I'm joking, but it's kind of a chance to change, right? New year, it's always a chance to change, so we should take it. So as CEO mentioned that we had the relativity theory, we had okay, so for guys who are first time here, this is a book about modern shogi theory, and it will talk about 7 theories or principles that are really hard to understand, but we've done already half of the book. Well, today we're gonna do half, I guess. We started with relativity theory, yes, like the Einstein one. Then we had the prompt efficiency theory. We continued with durability theory, and today we had to do, you can see on the bottom right, the mobility theory. What a nice surprise! I followed your channel like an hour ago, watching the Shogi video that Joy uploaded. Hey, welcome Jiranko, welcome. Today, unfortunately, it's gonna be a little bit heavy topic for new players, but feel free to join our Discord. We have a bunch of new people joining our Discord recently. A really cool way to find people to play Shogi on your level. All right, so the relativity theory was about the idea that if I play a defensive move, the opponent will play a defensive move. By defensive move, I mean the opening phase, yeah? If I make preparation for defense toward the castle, the opponent will do the same. If I make an attacking move, the opponent will do the same. And we would end up in symmetrical position, yeah? So this is the bishop exchange, for example, yeah, bishop exchange. We are very symmetrical. But it led to a problem. Sente being the bottom player, the first mover, Sente would end up in deadlock. And if you have the first move, you would rather use it to your advantage, right? Being Sente is cool. So they would have to think of new theory. For Gote, you would say they're one move behind, so they would lose naturally, but they come up with another theory called prompt efficiency theory. Wait, which one was it? I get confused myself. So in order to not get the symmetrical position, we ended up with prompt efficiency theory, that was for sure. We had Gote who was attacking first. We had Sente who would end up in deadlock. Sente would then become aggressive. The efficiency theory would be born. The solid castle would finish. Gyagura would finish. That's what we ended up with. Here it is, yeah. So we had to determine who's better, and it was really hard to determine it. Because it's relative, yeah? It seems like a draw in the end. Instead of going for heavy shape, go for fitting your opponent's move, defense to defense, attack to attack. As a result, shape is quite similar. And then there is a balance, yeah? So now the problem was that it was symmetrical, it was balanced, it was good then, but the bad point was if we don't have an attacking move for Sente, yeah? The deadlock that I mentioned. And therefore we throw away the balance and we go with prompt efficiency theory, where we are a little bit at the disadvantage with material, but we're very efficient with other pieces that we have left. So we break the opponent's shape. We have a possibility to continue attacking. We have a possibility to influence their shape as quickly as possible. So we have strategies like rapid advancing silver, early jumping knight, yeah, 6-5 or 4-5 knight, like rapidly going in. This is why Anaguma won't survive, because we attack Anaguma before it's done. Like the tomahawk strategy. Is Shogi like Hikaru no Go? Well, Hikaru no Go means Go, which is a different game, but in Hikaru no Go you have a character playing Shogi called Kaga, I think. So if you mention that one scene in Hikaru no Go, yes, that's the Shogi from Hikaru no Go. If you mean the Go, no, Go is black and white stones, but historically they grew up together, those two games. Go and Shogi grew up together in Shogi, in Japanese history. This is why many words are similar. Hikaru no Shogi, yes. Beautiful. Hikaru, not ri. Hikari means light, guys. Hikaru is a name. Hikari means light. Brain, where were we? We're talking about destroying the deadlock, going for quick attacks, going to the 5th row as fast as possible. We talked about changing the castle ways, about the simplification of the castle, right? Slowly we're talking about that. All in order to speed up our attack, yeah? To become faster, we need to simplify the castle. So we have the left side Mino, yeah. We have quick attack before we castle our king. We have, we realized that instead of going for the solid castle, we rather use our people like a castle. So we quoted Takeda Shingen, your people are your castle. And here we go into battlefield and contest the enemy in the middle of the board, rather than put our king in one corner surrounded by other pieces. Light of Shogi sounds like a perfect title. Maybe. Hikari Gyoku. No, Hidari. left, not light. March comes in like a lion is good anime, yeah. So yeah, basically we change the order. Instead of the castle, first we prioritize the attacking shape. So yeah, the efficient theory, the summary of that was that the key words was the 4-5 knight, rapid advancing silver, Yagura being less popular, castle simplification, and more of the sitting king, central king, yeah? The weird central king that we always tell to beginners, no, please don't do that. But actually, yes, please do it. So now everybody's confused. That's it. And then we come to the question that CEO asked, what was the durability theory? So in order to fight the efficiency theory, we had to do something about it, and one of the ways was to survive the attack or prevent it from happening, yeah? So one of the ways that we talked to prevent the attack was to not allow the issue point. Remember, guys, that's weird Japanese word. Point at issue, yeah, soten. It's probably tiny on your screen. I actually should make it bigger now that I look at it. Probably should make it bigger, eh? So soten means like point of issue, at issue. Shogi terms means, oh, this is their chance to attack. So, for example, here, this is the issue point because it allows the knight to develop, yeah? If we had pawn lower, the knight can jump, but the pawns cannot be exchanged. So that means that issue point disappeared, yeah? Because singular knight jump isn't as scary as the pawn exchange knight jump, yeah? Pawn exchange knight jump gives the opponent more options. So preventing that issue point was one thing. The other thing, you remember, guys, we used the bishop to defend the 8th file, making this knight jump useless. So we prevented them from jumping at all. Like, they had no way to start a quick attack. We talked about how to prevent the rapid advancing silver. We talked about the strategy of pushing the opposite pawn, but we decided it's not as efficient because it creates another issue point. So instead, we decided to defend the rapid advancing silver before it even happens. Then we talked about Furibisha, where we decide to prioritize to defend the night jump rather than to have solid castle. So again, it's about using your pieces where the issue point is rather than keeping them in castle, kind of. We don't stick to the boring shape of the castle anymore in the modern shogi. We stick to what's important on the board. We talked about Anaguma, and here that was an example how we can still safely make Anaguma by sealing off the counterattack. So no issue point because the knight is protecting for 5 points. And then we finally, I think last week, it wasn't last week, but last time, we arrived at this topic where we decided that king is the key piece in your defense, which is kind of, again, breaking our old, let's call it Hidechi generation theory, where the king should be as far away as possible from the battle. We decided that king is also important in that defense. So king here, get a spear, get a shield, go in the front line, defend yourself, yeah? That's what we decided last time. And one of the examples was the crab castle that was immediately attacked by the knight. And was there a clear conclusion or not? Well, the knight was attacking this square. If you defend it... Ah, I see. I wanted to be smart and show you an easy example, but I completely forgot why it was good or bad. Basically, if we push this pawn here, jump the knight, we'll be able to put the pressure on 5-3 square. And this king doesn't help this protection of this square, as opposed to here. Yeah, he will be protecting. Or here, the king is helping protection of that square. Yeah, so that will be a huge difference. Same way here, king on 3-1 is not helping the protection of this square. We talked about this variation in bishop exchange in particular. And we noticed how during the fight, the king is lonely on 3-1 square being useless. So instead, we talked is to keep the king here. And in the same variation, I think it was Chida. Yeah, it wasn't. We also had Toyoshima game. We decided that king protecting this square is much better, yeah? Because the king is the key piece in the defense. We talked about the different shape where the king was escaping early here. But okay, it looks like he's escaping, but he's actually protecting the 4-7 square. So he was also the key piece in the defense. And finally, central king coming more up to protect the 6-3 square. Yeah, a key piece too in defense. So we ended up to a weird conclusion last time that the efficiency theory, the crazy knight jumps and early silver exchange develops. And our durability theory, so how to break the attack, how to use the king in defense, have two things in common, which is to keep your castle simple and to defend using the king. All right. Then we noticed that the durability theory have two faces of one coin. You have two ways to use it. One which was to use the king to defense, make your camp more durable, and become strong against quick attack. And as opposed to it, we have, instead of using the king, we have prevent the issue point so that the fight doesn't happen. And therefore we can create shape that we want. So one of them is more slow game. The other one is preparing for the quick development. Yeah. So you had two phases of the same theory. Then we had some examples. And we ended up with this silly triangle where the relativity theory was answered with efficiency theory, which was answered by durability theory, but it comes back to the same weakness, which is the relativity theory. Yeah. And in order to escape from this deadly triangle, we're gonna have a mobility theory today. Is it okay, CEO? So much information. It doesn't seem like we're talking about Shogi anymore. That was great. Cool. So the mobility theory, today's topic. What is the mobility theory? As we explained in the previous chapter, we have the relativity, efficiency, and durability theories, and they're together in this triangle. The key strategy will be the efficiency theory because it leads to, if you manage to apply it properly, you're gonna be successful, right? And against that, the opponent will be using either the durability or the relativity theory. Yeah. So speaking of judo, you guys know Japanese sports judo. One side is attacking, the other side is defending. You can see similar thinking here. So the efficiency theory is giving the pace, and the other one is just reacting to it. Yeah. One is attacking, one is defending. But yeah, the efficiency theory is the theory that wanted to become better than just answering the opponent's moves. Yeah, it tried to get some benefit by gaining something that costs us something. So we will have a new weapon that does similar thing, which will be the mobility theory. The mobility theory is the idea of putting your piece efficiency to the max, something like an engine. It's gonna change the way it's gonna change the situation on the board. This is the position from recent bishop exchange. Yeah, we guys know it, we studied it together. The rook is on the bottom, the guard is here, the recent shape. And that mobility theory will have an impact on that position. Yeah. I wonder. Let's see. I wonder if I can make my screen bigger somehow. I just realized there's a lot of space on my left here, and I could make it bigger so you guys can see it better. 2-page view doesn't help us, right? Well, it doesn't help us. All right. Feed to page. No. Okay, well, that's one way to do it, but then you don't see the half of the... Maybe I should put the... Sorry, guys. I just realized I should make my stream better quality during the stream. We're gonna do this manually. Yeah. How about something like this? Yeah, I'm using the control to do the same thing, but having it force me to zoom like this makes look nice. Yeah. The previous page is probably the shape you're used to looking at. the bishop exchange reclining silver, yeah? Opening. 2-6 pawn, 4-8 rook shape, so this is a different one. This was the trending shape. Yosa, so this seems like Sente won't be able to easily get point here. Pick out, select good point. Well, Hidechi made a video about gold being here, I believe. That's the point, yellow. I will kind of show you guys that Hidechi bishop. That is gonna be different. So you see, in the times of Hidechi, it's a very important thing. This gold will be here. It's not useless. It's still very important. All those strategies will apply, but we're explaining why it changed, yeah? So the gold is here, but as you see, what we're studying is gold is here instead. And the king on 7-1 breaks our theory of durability. The king is rather on 6-8. And then the question is, when do we push those 6-5 pawns? Yeah, it seems a little too early in this position. Yeah, it's because of computers this shape is popular. I think it was discovered by a pro, but using computers, and then computers confirmed that it's a better shape, something like this, if I remember correctly. So yeah, Hidechi is a little bit outdated here. Of course, like the these basic shapes, so like how to deal with boggin, how to deal with reclining silver, this all will be basics that still applied, so you guys should learn it. But pro currently are mesmerized by this shape. Okay, where were we? Thank you for the follow, guys. Jabalicious and Spring Autumn, hello. So the question is how Sente will be able to utilize this shape. We would like to move on the 4 file, but it seems like we don't have any other options here apart from going there. Do you know some pros with a very defensive style? Kimura. I don't know if you remember recently, like 2 years ago, year ago, he was the oldest title holder. Let me think. Kishi database. Well, it was taken by Fuji back, but like it was an amazing feat. So if you want a really defensive style, he was the most famous defensive player nowadays. Kimura Kazuki, yeah. So Kimura will be this. They write it opposite because of how English works. This would be Kimura. This is his surname, and this is his name here. But in English, we have Kimura on the right. He challenged Nagase for Oza this year as well. Wow. Yeah, I recommend watching. I wish we could do like a stream for watching pro games like that. Because it's fun to see. Like, this is like a dry theory we're doing, yeah? It's boring to see. But as you see it applied by different pros, and with their own ideas, with different styles, that becomes so much more interesting, you know? Of course, if you would watch it without the dry theory, you would be like, what are they doing? I don't understand anything. But if you combine those two, you start to really enjoy shogi. Yeah. If we have time today, maybe we can like take a look on some pro game that has this opening and see how they're trying to mind trick each other. You know nothing of shogi but play chess, and this looks interesting. Thank you. We do chess as well. On Tuesday, we have the National Master from Hawaii, Paul. We do Shogi X chess. Every week we do one or another. I teach him or he teaches me. So if you would like that segment, it's on Tuesdays. But yeah, welcome to the Shogi world if you enjoy it. And if you'd like to chat about some chess, it's on our Discord. We also have a chess channel. Welcome. All right. So here we started attacking. So we push this pawn. Pawn takes, silver takes, knight takes, yeah? And then they redrop the silver to 4-4. Tsutsukae theory. What is Tsutsukae theory? It's a weird Japanese. Stick. So the knight is stuck a little bit. Yeah, the knight is blocking the rook. I think that's the point, but we're gonna see. And therefore the attack, the continuation of the attack is not easy, yeah? But the next move that's dangerous for Sente will be the bishop drop to 3-7 here. And it seems like we're in hurry. Being in hurry in shogi is a terminology which it's not a pleasant thing to do. It's like they're pushing you to do something, and if you fail, you will fail. And if you don't do anything, you will fail. So it's like you have one chance, and usually that positions is a little bit disadvantageous. So Sente is under pressure here, simply speaking. And the reason why it's bad is because they don't really have a new good attack, and they put themselves in this position on their own volition. So yeah, Gote managed to defend. Why did Sente attack didn't work well? One of the reasons is that the rook that moved to the 4th file is not used well, yeah? So we're slowly getting into this mobility theory. We have another game from 2019. Seeing that recent years Sente plays this shape rather than the other shape. So instead of 2-6 pawn and the rook, they're playing 2-9 rook and 2-5 pawn. And the rook, as you can notice, have more squares to go to, actually. Yeah, vertically and horizontally, compared to this one. That can go only here. This one can go here and here. So the scope of the rook becomes wider. Don't you think so? Chat, you think so, right? So in the position 3, which is this one, Gote is playing the durability theory. Yeah, so the king is helping the protection, they're protecting the knight head, they're just waiting for the attack to come. They're not playing the king to 3-1 because they're going with the protect with the king theory of the durability theory, the protecting with the king part of the durability theory. And yeah, that's why it's kind of weird spot. But Sente doesn't mind and plays 4-5 knight anyway. And therefore we have the shape of efficiency theory and durability theory, yeah? The fight of those both. But the Gote also have attacking chances, so they're not gonna fail easily. I think that's the translation. No, that's not the translation. Gote is Kyutekini. So I have no idea how to read this kanji, but it means fast and swift attacking shape of the camp, battle formation. Even though it's quick, it doesn't seem it's gonna fail. Yeah, okay. So here, if the silver goes back to 4-4, we're gonna exchange the 2 for pawn. And it wouldn't be interesting for them. Okay, reading chat. It feels natural to keep the rook on that second file because it points, you can get the weaker point in the castle, yeah? Because Sente can play bishop drop 1-7. I never saw that bishop drop, but it's an interesting idea, Sio. Dive. Okay. Dive. I like this Japanese. To dive with the knight. If anybody watched this very old anime called 81 Diver about shogi, you would laugh with me. So instead of going up, okay, so the idea was we are attacking the silver. If the silver goes up, we can exchange those pawns, we're happy. So they're gonna try to go back instead. Silver 2-2. And next they're targeting to push this pawn to kill the knight. But what we're doing is sacrificing the 7-5 pawn. Pawn takes. Knight promotion. King takes. No. Yes, if you take with the king, there is a bishop drop, of course. King, rook fork. So we have to take with the gold. And pawn drop to 7-4 becomes possible. Gold goes back, promotion, gold retakes. And then we're gonna push this pawn. It's a very long variation. Sorry for that. How long did it take you to learn Japanese? Well, I lived quite a bit in Japan, so like 8 years I lived in Japan. And this is a shogi book. This is not a book that normal people are able to read. I actually have a lot of trouble with reading Japanese novels, but because this is about shogi, it's easier for me to read, paradoxally. But for normal Japanese, it would be pretty hard. So I have knowledge about specific language of Japanese applied to shogi, basically. So my Japanese sucks, that's what I'm saying. But I can read about shogi. Yeah, it's like people are like, oh, it's amazing, you can speak Japanese. No. I can read about shogi, that's all I can do. Log variation. Senta is doing well. Gote's shape is awful. It's hard to defend everything from there. So diving with the knight is a good decision. The Gote's rook position is bad. And therefore defending that is hard, okay? So this is the final position that we had, yeah? So we started with the knight jump, with silver going back. We had this pawn sacrifice. We promoted the knight. And the knight promotion is working because the rook is here, yeah? Because of this king-rook fork. And this is why it's badly positioned. King takes, pawn drop, gold comes here, and finally we go here. If pawn takes, then we have a knight drop forking those two pieces here. Also, this silver is a wall. If it doesn't move, it's a wall for the king. So the shape, goddess shape, is bad. And as a result, on a very high level, like pro level, this will be bad for Gote. On our level, we're not sure, but we can understand the reasons why, okay? Sente was able to attack. It's a good feeling. They put them in a bad shape. So the reason why Sente was able to destroy the durability theory is because they had a good rook. In the position 6, we're giving away the move to the Gote side, so it's kind of scary moment because of the counter attack. But because we have the rook on 2-9, we have a lot of defenses thanks to the rook. Yeah, so this is important, that we're able to defend against the enemy counter. And therefore, that's the reason why we were able to attack so strongly, yeah? So the rook, by being a good defender, enabled us to attack strongly. That's the point here. You see, guys, it's not a very... It's not like, ooh, we have a strong rook, so we have a good attack. No, it's like we have a good defense, so we were able to attack strongly. It's kind of weird logic. Because in Shogi, you know, when the pieces get exchanged, when we're attacking, it means we're giving more resources to the enemy hand, and then they will be able to punch at you back. So you want to be prepared. And if you're not prepared, you shouldn't have given them resources, yeah? So here we're prepared because we have the rook on the back, helping us defend all of those back squares. And this is why our rook mobility was good. All right, so that was the first example. Next. Thank you for the follow. In the previous shogi, we managed to destroy the durability theory, but the mobility theory benefit Isasaka kanji ni kukatta kamoshirei. Nikukatta. Maybe it was hard to feel the benefit. I never saw this kanji. Isasaka. A little, somewhat, slightly redder. Maybe it was hard to notice the benefit of this mobility theory. So there is another thing they want to show us. In the diagram 7, we have 6-5 pawn. Pawn takes, knight takes, yeah? In here, silver goes up. They're gonna drop the pawn to defend the knight. And we're gonna push the 4-5 pawn. This is shogi from 2017. So as you see, the rook is on the bottom. It has a lot of defensive power. Knight, no. So I guess this is the preventive measure or something. Keeping in check the enemy's attack. Restraining the enemy's attack. All right. It's restraining the enemy's attack by being here. It looks like center is a little bit bad because we allow the knight to jump so far away. but there is one effect that our mobility theory has. The silver from 7-7 went to the 6 file, and next Gote will be able to exchange the 8 file pawn. But in actual game, they move the king without the exchange, I think. And the reason is that actually, if you were to go for this exchange here, it would be a trap. It's not a good move. Because if you push the pawn, pawn takes, rook takes, there is the 9-7 bishop drop. A counter. If the rook goes to 8-1, we can take this pawn. The gold goes up, and the bishop goes to this square. Center will be good. As a result, you can see that because of the 4-5 pawn that we played, this bishop will be very effective. So one point to notice is that in this shape, the rook is protecting the knight, and therefore bishop drop is possible, right? Gold protects here, rook protects here, and the bishop drop is possible thanks to that. And this bishop will be very effective here. This pawn allowed our bishop to move from here to here, and now we're affecting this nice diagonal and this nice diagonal. Even if Gote will drop the 6-4 pawn here to defend the knight, Sente can defend with 8-7 pawn drop. And as you can see, we will have 2 pawns left in hand for Sente and 0 for Gote. So having those 2 pawn advantage will give Sentes the lead. Whoa. Polish Asian language? Yeah. Jen, yeah, because we have the guy called Jen, streamer, very big supporter of Shogi Harbour, my friend Jen. And dzień dobry in Polish means good morning, so yeah, it's a mix of Asian and Polish. It's so funny. So, hope you guys understood. It's a very difficult position to judge, but as a result, we have 2 pawn advantage and we're happy. In this way, making the piece influence squares more. Okay, how do I translate this? Making the piece to move to more squares, making piece more efficient. Yeah, by making the piece move to more squares, we make it more useful, kinda. So it affects more squares, so it means it's stronger, yeah? And thanks to that the piece is more efficient, we are able to defend more squares, so we have more defensive power, or we can attack more squares, making us stronger, having more offensive power, yeah? As you can do that, your options that you didn't have before, yeah? The attacking options, the defending options, you will have more of them, or you will be more likely to succeed. Here you also don't have to drop the pawn, you can play other move. So you can see how amazing this mobility theory is, yeah? We have many options now as Sente. All right, let me summarize it so far. So we have the efficiency theory that we're slowly understanding is connected to how the piece moves, how many squares it can go to. We saw the beta example of rook being on the 4 file and looked very cramped and easily targetable. But according to the newer strategy, it has bigger scope. And thanks to that, we are able to use our prompt efficiency theory better because we have better defensive power. Yes, we have better defensive power, so we're able to be more courageous in the attack. Yeah, that's something which we learned. And this was a weird move example that was showing us that combination of both, yeah? Because we have a nice defensive power, we can use the bishop as a counter, and it's a good bishop because it's so powerful. It can move to so many squares. Ukeru here is to take a piece with another. Ukeru means to defend in general. It doesn't mean to take. Ukeru is just defend. If it's to take a piece, it would, yeah. Ukekata. So ukekata is the way to defend, kind of. Semekata is the way to attack, the method to attack or the method to defend. It's really neat that the new formation is better for both attacking and defending compared to old formation. Yeah. Quite interesting. So we have this one formation that the computers come up with, but I guess this book is trying to explain why is it so good. It strikes me as this. Why does it look this way? Why is it good? The author is asking himself questions, and this is like one of the answers. Like, oh, because the rook actually is very good in the defense. Oh, because actually you're able to deflect the enemy's attack. Or you can activate the knight, you can activate the silver, stuff like this. It all combines to why this shape is so good. All right, we will have another example. Let me see how long. This chapter will be quite long, so we might have to cut it into 2. Considering from a perspective of the relationship between the kings, it makes sense that threatening the defense and threatening the attack has very interrelated effects. Yeah, especially that the king is so close to the attack, right? Every of those squares matters. It's like a Yoko Fudori type of game, suddenly. So, the mobility theory is to make the piece efficiency or movement as big as possible, especially speaking about the big piece. Big piece meaning rook and the bishop. It's gonna connect to how strongly you can fight. So like it doesn't matter maybe for silver, maybe for the knight, but if you make those 2 pieces effective, it's gonna rank up your attacking power if relatively English proportionally better than compared to other pieces, yeah. Following big piece efficiency, make bigger. So the basic Japanese is weird, guys, so you have to read from the back. So the basic thing, the basic way to think about this theory is to like make them move, big pieces to move to more squares, or to make a way for them to move to more squares. Yeah, so open a path or put them in a better spot. The modern Yagura in the position 11 here. The second pawn was pushed early. It's often played. I don't know if I should read this first or that first. So here we're prioritizing the efficiency of this rook, yeah? Up until now, we had Yagura where we didn't push this pawn. It was a strategy to keep it on 2-6 square. But in recent years, because it limits the rook, it's not valued as much. So 2-5 pawn is more valued recently. Thank you, Isagashi Fuhyo. A busy pawn. Thank you, busy pawn. I'm gonna check it after the stream. Sayusen ni kangeru. Sayusen. Maximum parity, all right? The maximum parity is the mobility theory. So in the modern Yagura, Gote is coming with the quick attack. What would you do against it? This is one team. Up until now, with the mobility theory, I would like to show you how to use that mobility theory in a quick game. In the position 12, Gote played the 7-5 pawn engagement move. It's the rapid advancing silver and simplification of the castle. So we're talking about the efficiency theory, yeah? It's the basic. You can notice. Guys, right? You already know it's the efficiency theory. King is not in a castle, silver advancing, efficiency theory, yeah? 2019 game. In position 12, if we were to push this pawn here, it's not going to work because of what we said in chapter 3. Yeah, they're gonna create an issue point on the 6th file. It's not gonna work. In the game, they took the 7-5 pawn, silver take, and 7-9 bishop was played. And you can see how much stronger the bishop is now, right? It can move to so many squares compared to this bishop. And what was played is pawn drop to 7-6, silver takes this pawn, and in that moment we push the bishop to 4-6 square, attacking the rook. In the timing of, at the instance of putting the silver here, the bishop went back. Next, we will be able to put it even more efficient square, 4-6 square, yeah? Very good square to move to. In this way, we're attacking the diagonal, the ear of the rook, as Hidechi translates, the ear of the rook. And this move will become something. It will become, what is this? What is this kanji? It became a grudge, a harm, injury. All right, so basically this silver is kind of failing. I mean, I cannot agree. There's still some moves that Gote can play, and it's not really clear to me whenever it's good or bad. But we can see. It's not gonna be written. I'm just gonna say that. You can see how much more options we have as center. Yeah, the bishop was stuck here. Seems like the bishop's head is being attacked, but then skillfully the bishop avoid being attacked at all, allowing us counter. So we're not one-sided we're not being one-sided attacked anymore. We actually have some option to do stuff. And our bishop looks free, happy. Stop, brain. Don't say puppy. It rhymes with happy. The bishop is a puppy. It doesn't work in shogi. Stop, brain. Brain, stop. Stop. The bishop is happy as a puppy, yeah, because it attacks the rook. All right. So yeah, attacking the ear of the rook. The silver is not good. Next, this silver can go to 4-8. No, okay. So what they're saying is the silver didn't go to 4-8, which is a big point, yeah. The bishop on the silver on 3-9 actually allows our rook to also help the defense, yeah. So this is a big point here as well. I didn't notice. It's interesting. It's not only the bishop that's active, the rook is also active. So stupidly, because you didn't move the silver up, it gives your rook the mobility. Yeah? It's not silver that's behind, it's rook that's active. In this position, Gote would be able to drop 7-3 pawn, but we are able to jump 7-7 knight because it's protected by 2 golds, it's fine. And then, even if they exchange the silver for the gold, 7-4 pawn drop next to abuse the rook. It's a good pawn for us. Yellow is saying, I'm getting some intuition that mobility theory is like enhanced version of efficiency theory. One aspect of efficiency theory is activating the pieces by attacking the issue point, but this is countered by durability theory. The art of mobility theory is creating the potential of many different possibilities of attack and defense. In this way, the opponent isn't able to counter the mobility because you have many options instead of one option. Yes, I think you have the right intuition. It breaks my brain, but I think you're on the right track. I could also argue that the efficiency theory they showed us so far was about small pieces, and mobility theory is rather about the big pieces. And de facto, they're both the same thing. It's applied to different pieces. But the main point is that it's not the singular, like, oh, promote the rook type of thinking. It's about actually using this piece in defense as well, which is quite interesting. He didn't use the words like mobility efficiency. He taught you this. Wow. All right. So you already knew this. That's cool. Yeah, it's like, if you think about this, it's natural. Yeah. Like, it's nice to have the rook open. It's nice to have the bishop on 4-6. But being able to use words to define it, it's also cool. And now we see that it's very important in different openings, more important than we expected. Flexible in the opening, but you always have to plan. Yeah, so that's another thing, but yeah, your pieces are definitely flexible in this mobility theory. Definitely. Potential is the good word as well. I like that word applied to this theory. Yeah, the problem with this book is like it gives you a lot of examples, while it would be nice to have the theory first and then follow up by examples. The way they do it is they first show us the example and then we have to read about the theory, which makes it a little bit hard to understand. But Yellow summarized it pretty nicely here. Wait, let me finish this example before I forget what we are talking about. So the rook is active on the side because the 3-9 silver. Yeah, so because the silver is not higher, we're actually able to higher our efficiency. That's funny. Okay. Yeah, all right. So that was another example about quick attack, yeah? So we had the bishop exchange, But here we had an example of rapid advancing silver as a proof, I guess, to show that it's applicable in our examples. And then we have another example, which will be the swinging rook. I'm glad to hear that, yeah. For me, it's similar. It's like I kind of understand what he's talking about, but I wouldn't be able to explain it. Like, this knowledge is something you gain by playing a lot of games. And I'm really happy we have this book explaining it in more understandable way even for beginners. Although, yeah, those examples are not really easy because it's Shogi terrain, because it's a lot of openings, but it makes it more approachable, kinda. So that's really cool. This book is really cool. Yeah, it sounds natural, but it's not common playing style in old Shogi. I agree, Sio. There are so many Ayanaguma and Ayagura before. Yeah, I agree. It shows the change as well, yeah. So this is 2018. So, yeah, sorry, there's a strong consciousness in modern Shogi about not only raising the number of efficiency square, but also not blocking your own big piece. Yeah, I always shout at you guys on Sunday Shogi, like, don't block your brook, what are you doing? Like, that's part of this efficiency theory. Not efficiency, mobility theory. So thanks to that, new strategies are coming up. For example, the Millennium. This is the Millennium Castle. It's called Millennium because it was played around 2000 year. As you know, it's a new millennium, so the castle is called Millennium. In this opening, the bishop efficiency, yeah, the mobility is very huge, yeah. It's that's all they're explaining, but you can see that it's gonna be able to move to the. I mean, it's a weak example, but kind of makes sense why Millennium is being played. This is why I'm always like, why did you put the bishop on 6-6? Nowadays, like many people in Shogi Harbour also plays this move, but I understand you want to activate the bishop onto the 5-7 square. You have more options, more mobility. Very similar strategy to that will be the Yamada Joseki, where the bishop goes to 9-7 followed by 7-9. But this is newer. It's harder to make silver crown on... yeah, it's true. You cannot push the 8-4 pawn easily, but it's not like I would like to make one anyway, but... but yeah, the knight being here also is quite active, I'd say. It seems like it's gonna die, but it's never important because you have so many pieces around your king. It's a very solid castle, actually. Alright, another example would be the Anaguma, where your bishop is closed, yeah? So if you compare those two castles, this bishop is much mobile, much more, has more squares to move to. Yeah, there's a lot of talk about the Fuji system and countering it. Wait, Millennium. Yeah, so Millennium was okay, so how Millennium was done, I don't know if you guys are aware. Anaguma was countered by Fuji system, and then in order to repel that Fuji system, Millennium Castle was made. So it's like you're going for Anaguma, but haha, not really, yeah? Yeah, CEO is right. It's to defend against Millennium. This is what they're talking about here. But yeah, the point nowadays is to use the bishop to make it more usable. There's a lot of kanji that I don't want to translate because it's just the whole meaning is basically that we're trying to make bishop more useful. Yeah, but this bishop is hard to use because the bishop root is blocked. Yeah, and therefore the attacking power is dropping. So we talked about making more squares, but also not blocking our piece. So this is an example of free bishop and contained bishop. How many more? I don't want to make it too long. I feel like we went through a lot and it's getting complex. So I'm searching for a good moment to drop this chapter until next week. Maybe we can do like one more example. How about that? It will be like halfway. I don't want you guys to get your brain being too overheated. I know there is the attention span. Mileniamu, wait, Mileniamu, Senzeni, front, activity, arrangement, stationing. To station the bishop in the front line, okay? This is naturally not means it's easy to get chased away. Yeah, it's easy to like target the bishop that's put in a front line, right? So it is why it was dangerous to do it. But even if you push the... Okay, so they're continuing this example that we can chase away the bishop on 6-5. But even if you do so, as in the 16 diagram, the bishop can go to 5-7. And there is no problemu. All right, so it's no problemu, guys, when the bishop goes to 5-7. Because as CEO mentioned, the 8-4 pawn is really hard to push. And therefore, the silver crown is not possible to make. So CEO predicted what book is going to say. Good job, CEO. Good job. And yeah, we can see now why this bishop is so mobile, moving, well placed, because it's affecting both sides of the board beautifully. Yeah, mwah, beautiful piece mobility. Even if we were to fight from now on, the bishop becomes easier to use, and therefore the characteristic of Mino becomes alive. Yeah, so the Mino is used in the fullest thanks to that. 6-5 pawn, bishop goes back, 4-5 pawn, gold goes here, the knight jumps, silver goes back to here, 6, this goes up, king goes here, 6, 3-6 pawn, and goes to here, would arrive from this position to here. So yeah, we basically move this gold closer to the castle, we got the diamond Mino, we move this silver from the bottom, and then we develop this pawn and this pawn. It was yellow's idea. Oh, all right, yellow's then. Start. Okay, Matsu. So starting with, we're gonna go to 4-8 with the bishop. going for 3-7 next here. If we manage to put the bishop here, this knight jumps becomes a very good move, yeah, because we're targeting the enemy's king. In the meantime, what happened is the rook exchanged the pawn on 4-6, and then the knight jump happened. If the knight takes, there is the pin on the king and the rook. So it's a very scary move. And we cannot take this knight as a result. So yeah, so Sente will have a very solid 4-piece castle, and the attack, they also have a nice attack, which means they're quite happy with it. If the rook promotes to 4-7, the knight promotes, silver takes. If the rook promotes here, knight takes, silver takes, 2-4 pawn takes, 2-2 pawn drop. And as a result, it's gonna be losing for Gote. Even though Sente has a dragon, they have no way to use it. The question was referring to Dragon 16. Okay, 16. Yeah, so what we're doing is moving the bishop to 3-7 and attacking this open diagonal. That's what the book told us. 2-4 pawn is countered by pawn takes, bishop takes, and rook to 2-2. So it's not gonna break. And therefore we can try to, again, go for bigger mobility for the bishop, right? So the next example will be more about defense, I believe. But we're gonna do it next week. And then we're gonna end up with some... Even if your piece doesn't have enough power, using the mobility theory, you can make it stronger. That's gonna be our that's gonna be our conclusion. Then we will have something about king wideness, so how the king can move around. So the king mobility, perhaps we're gonna call it. And eventually we're gonna arrive at some pie diagram about king shape and the mobility theory, with some very important association. And this chapter is gonna be very long. All right, so this is gonna be our solution, that we'll be able to escape the triangle using the mobility theory. Eating the mobility theory like a Pac-Man, yeah? Nom, 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 nom. Yeah, basically it's saying using the efficiency theory and the durability theory. If you only use that, the king shape looks very unsafe, so add mobility theory and you're fine. That's what it's saying, kinda. And then we will have another theory after that. I would expect in 2 weeks then. Something about the safety theory. Safety. And then preservation, I guess. So durability and preservation. So we are kind of leveling up our efficiency theory into mobility theories, and then I assume we're gonna evolve our durability theory into safety theory or preservation theory. I don't want to translate it as maintenance. But yeah, basically what we will have left in the chapter of the mobility is the king mobility and Where were we? Something about defensive mobility. We had offensive, we had a little bit of both, and next will be a little bit more offensive mobility. So, like this example, the silver will go down, actually opening our bishop. So it's gonna be kinda epic. Oh, all right, guys. That's all for today. To not overload our brains, we learned something very important. Okay, let me summarize it. We learned about the vicious triangle of the first three theories that we would like to break through. And we're gonna use mobility theories. So we're gonna make sure that whatever piece we have, wherever we put it, it's the most efficient, so that we can attack without fear for our king, having good defender, or having a very nice bishop like the Millennium Bishop, affecting both sides of the board. We also learned that using mobility theory, we can counter the rapid advancing silver. So instead of stopping it, using the durability theory, we can actually outmaneuver it. We learned about the Millennium Castle, the 5-7 bishop shape, really cool, combined with 3-7 bishop, yeah, attacking the rook, the king. And the rest is a mystery. So thank you guys for coming. I will see you on the Discord. The next stream is gonna be Saturday. Let me quickly check. Saturday. Oh, and tomorrow is New Year already, yeah? So I will see you on the New Year, I guess. Yep, 1st January, I guess, the evening, 4 p.m. Japanese, no. Swiss time, so Zurich time. Sunday, Shogi, of course, is going to be. Chess stream is going to be pushed again because I have a German test. I will start learning German from January, so I will have to move one of our streams to a different day because of that, but everything will be talked about on Discord. And we will have teaching games, guys. Finally, we will have the Tornado series teaching games on the last Sunday of January, so the 30th. Look forward to it. So TTQ, TTS, TTM, TDJ, all of those games will be played on the 30th. Look forward to it. Tomorrow is 31st, so tomorrow is the last day of this year. So the new year is the day after, so yeah, I mean Switzerland, yeah. And the last time to like ask any question about the stream or about, now is the time, guys. Yellow says, thank you so much for the stream, can wait for the next part of the book. It's amazing how much information is contained in just those pages. Thank you, Yellow. It's a really difficult book to understand, so I'm glad you enjoy. It's a book for shogi nerds, clearly. But it's nice that I have around 20 people today, 20 to 25 people who enjoyed it together with me, even though they didn't speak much. I hope you had a good time lurking. I remember when it was Tsume almost and I just took a pawn with a horse instead of trapping the opponent's rook and taking later very, very strong and efficient drop. How long? I moved a few months ago, 4 months ago. I am on a professional shogi break. Yeah, since like 4 months ago, I guess. See you next year, Kiki-san. For some reason, Kiki the bot selected one of the words you said as incorrect as a curse words, and it's in French, so I have no idea. Because you speak French. No, because one of the words is... maybe because in English, yeah. I have no idea. I think it could be interesting that mobility theory might apply very differently to major pieces versus other pieces. For major pieces about classic mobility and how many potentially important squares they can be assessed. I agree. But I'm mainly speculating that with other pieces we will see a different kind of mobility. I also agree on that. Yeah, I think mobility theory is mostly about big pieces and the efficiency theory is about small pieces, but we will see next week. Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Maybe one day, maybe Cheese James, maybe I was thinking of joining some chess club in Zurich. So who knows? Who knows? All right, have a nice middle of the week, guys. Have a nice end of the year. And I will see you on the Discord. Goodbye.